Hello, welcome to your favorite show, Ladies Cafe. My name is Alice Lungu. Of course, as usual, I'm joined by my co-host who is going to introduce herself.
Hi, Alice. Welcome to your favorite show. As she's mentioned it, my name is Phiri. Hope you've been having a lovely weekend. Oh, sorry, a lovely week.
Yeah, it's been a lovely week, I would say, except for the news that really touched me. And it's still touching me.
Oh, what's trending? The Pamela Chisupa and the 12 girls that were rescued 2 days ago?
Yes.
That's really sad and very touching. Very, very shameful.
Every time I think about it, it's really, it's touching my heart. Like, I can't just imagine myself. If I were to put myself in any of the girls' shoes, I don't know what you have to say about that, Jenna.
You know, the funny part, I still have questions. How do boys of the age of 22 keep 13 ladies? How are they managing? Because
actually, there are so many questions to that. Like, how?
They don't even look financially stable.
Exactly. And how did it start? I mean, okay, first of all, we thank God that it's been months and we've been praying about it. And we actually didn't even know that there were other 12 girls that were also kidnapped.
Exactly.
It's only I can
and we've been told there are actually more than 12 because we heard of a guy that was once there.
He was killed.
May his soul rest in peace.
Which is very, very, very sad. In all this, I can say it's only the hand of God.
True.
The hand of God, nothing else.
When the time is right,
yes,
everything happens.
You know, I don't know, Jenna. I can imagine, you know, being a lady. You put yourself in their shoes. Exactly. You know, we have sisters.
Being away from home for about 8 months to 6 months.
It's like we're no longer safe.
We are not.
We're living in a world where we are not safe. We need to take conscious. And the sad part is that the one that actually betrayed Pamela happens to be a friend. The story says that there were actually, others say there were classmates, others say there were schoolmates. We don't
and I also heard the other one saying she was abducted because she was invited for a drink. So meaning they didn't really abduct people they didn't know. Even the people that they were friendly with.
They were actually getting people that are close to them.
And the sad part is, sorry to say this, the police didn't even tell us to say there are so many cases they're receiving about missing ladies. At least they would have warned the community.
Yes.
Alerting the public that there are a lot of cases they're receiving of ladies missing. It's very sad to hear. We were looking for one person. We've been looking for Pamela, and unfortunately, we found 12 more people in the same house.
I think the other story was the one that had actually gone to call for help. Her story was heard because it was
I also saw it on social media.
That was 3 weeks ago. But hey, I don't know if we're safe again.
We're no longer safe.
We're no longer safe. Anyway, coming back to today's topic, today we are looking at heartbreak, and our guest is an author of the book I Wish to Blame. This is the first that we all know. This person is not new here. And he's actually an author of 2 books. I Wish to Blame and It Is Never Enough. So we'll find out more about this book, and just he will tell us more about the topic that we're sharing today. Heartbreak.
What heartbreak?
Heartbreak. What comes to your mind when you hear this word?
Heartbreak is actually an emotional stress, pain that someone feels.
Okay, we'll find out more as our guest will join us later on the show as well. Learn how to deal with heartbreak and just how one heals from it. So viewers, I encourage you to stay glued. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back shortly after this break.
Hey, my name is Foresight, and I know all about David here. I know that today he just bought himself a brand new car worth more than 50,000 kwacha, and he is super excited about it. But what David doesn't know is, if his car gets damaged, he loses the car and all the money he just spent on it.
Eh? What?
If David was smart, he would get comprehensive car insurance from Veritas General Insurance and live a worry-free life.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Just pay them a visit at Kapingila House, the Catholic Secretariat along Kapulonga Road. Veritas General Insurance. You are in very good hands.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, you are watching Ladies Cafe, and our topic today is heartbreak. We have been joined by our guest. Like I said, this person is not a new person. He has always been here. I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. So Paul is Phiri, or Paul Simon Phiri is my name. Though a lot of people call me Mzakazi Wambwe. So I'm from St. Monica Parish, Makeni Villa. I'm an author, of course, of 2 books now. It is never enough, healing from the pain of losing a loved one in death and other traumatic experiences. And also, I wish to blame healing parental and childhood trauma. I think this is the recent one, which I would advise everyone to have a hand on it. Apart from that, I'm a poet. I love the youths. I'm an advocate of the youths, an educationist, and a proud teacher, they say.
Happy Teacher's Day.
Happy Teacher's Day.
We actually forgot.
Okay, Paul, before we go into our topic, we were talking about the story that is trending. It's
It's very painful. The issue of Pamela Chisupa and the 12 other girls that were rescued.
Well, I would take it a little bit in a different perspective. Number one, we will not manage to control some of these things because theologically we are still in the battle of good and evil. And Pamela, with all due respect, I think she never anticipated that, even all the victims that were involved. And it's one thing that we as a community and as a nation, we have to be on their side. Then secondly, one thing that I would advise or advise us is we need so much now to advocate for counseling, psycho-counseling to these people because the trauma is too deep. And if I can pose my own opinion, I will say we can a little bit refrain from maybe talking about them. We know it's there, we need to talk about it. But I think for some time, Pamela and the rest, they need a bit of space so that they can process whatever they have in mind. But I will tell you that the psychological trauma that has been posed on them is deep. It will take time, it will take a lot. It will take for them to open up. It will take also us, the community, to be there for them. However, I will just be real to everyone that times are hard and depressing, and we don't know. Times are uncertain, and a lot of things really, they will come on us. So let's take caution on where we go, and let's be careful with people we hang around with. Because anything can happen. It can be an accident, it can be anything. So let us see to it that we are very much careful. The other thing, I think my major lesson to this aspect of what has happened to our sister is all about, number one, this life that we've been entrusted to ourselves, just like what Plato said, that we have been entrusted to yourself with yourself, meaning we also have to take care of ourselves. I think really the the civic responsibility lies so much to the political leaders, but I think we also have a responsibility that we have to take. We shouldn't also only pose it to the police to say they will have to do that, they should have done that. But I think we should also be responsible on our own. What time do you move around? Exactly. What nature of business do you do? What time do you knock off? I think these are some of the information and details that we have to leave on the open. However, nature is just the way it is. We don't anticipate. No one anticipates to be
no one knows
to be done. Yeah. But I sympathize with Zambia. I sympathize with their families. And my prayer and my conviction is they get all the help they need psychologically, emotional, and everything. Yeah, it wasn't their fault. And I think no one can desire to be exposed to such an environment. So we pray that it can be well with them very much soon.
Amen.
Okay, coming back to today's topic.
Oh yeah.
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak.
Yes.
Kwanika mtima.
It's common. It's everywhere. I think I must say almost everyone has actually experienced this heartbreak in one way or the other. I don't know what you have to say about this topic for heartbreak.
Heartbreak. I think I've already brought out a certain component that this is something that we cannot run away from. And from the onset, let me be quick to mention that we cannot overcome heartbreak. Maybe this is something that will not sit well with a lot of people. We will never overcome heartbreak. We can only cope with heartbreak.
Sure.
When I remember what Roderick Wittgenstein, one of the philosophers, he said, it takes a system to overcome a system. So when we go back, though I didn't want to run so much into biblical theology, but just permit me to borrow a certain component about that. When God created everything in the beginning, he said it was good. Now, good, when you take it in its original interpretation, which is in Latin, it will tell you that it simply means something that is perfect, or that something that has attained 100% perfection. So this world, it was created in a systematic way, and it was perfect. So, but of course, we were given just one simple rule: do not eat what of the tree of good and bad. But when man forgone that, and they just had to eat that, we introduced another system, which is the opposite system. So from the beginning of humanity, we have been fighting with this opposition, and it has been something that has been inflicting pain on us. It can be death, it can be lack of employment, it can be you thought this Prince Charming loves you, but you discover that he was also cheating on you. And a lot of things just get to be messed up as compared to how God saw a lot of things. And so that is how that system fused into man. But in explaining this, I want to take everyone back to how it was in the beginning. 3 dimensions to which a human being has been created. Number 1, truth, love, and life. And when I talk of truth, this is something that you must understand. Number 1, truth. Truth about what? Truth about God and truth about yourself. Do you know the reason why we have got a lot of heartbreaks and a lot of depression?
No, that's what we'd like to know.
Simply because we do not know ourselves. And if we can pose a question to the 18 million population of Zambia, you discover that about 3% or 30% they will be able to get it, that they know themselves. So if you don't know themselves, as Miles Monroe says, if a purpose of something is not known, abuse cannot be avoided. So the reason why we feel we have been abused to some extent, or something is not in its place, simple. We do not know the truth about ourselves. We do not know the purpose of who we are. We do not even know the value of who we are. Now, let's look at what Jesus, our master and brother, said, to say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it simply means it has to come to yourself. Because the loving of a friend to the other, or the knowing of something, it is an extension of yourself. So the brokenness that we experience or that we share with other people is just an extension of ourselves. So the truth, number 1, do we know who we are, and do we know about God? Number two, when we talk about life, I remember there's a recent book which I finished reading about J. Fulton, Blessed. His title is Life is Worth Living. There's something he said about life, to say life wasn't just meant to exist, but we must live to the fullest. But you know, the problem also that is creating the heartbreak is we have all imposed our expectations, our way of living on other people. So if you, Alice, you don't love me, then I feel less love. If Natasha doesn't appreciate me, then I don't appreciate myself. We have neglected the life that has to be lived by an individual, by a human being himself, which if this begins with us, it can be an extension to other people. The reason being, that is why, if I borrowed a few concepts that I wrote in this recent book, I Wish to Blame, that is why the title it is, I Wish to Blame. Meaning, most of the time when we experience heartbreak, we tend to impose everything on another person. Truth be told, even right now, if I'm to tell you, why are you not into college? The fastest thing you say, because of my uncle never sponsored me, because of my irresponsible father who never did this. But the fact is, what about you? Are you telling me you couldn't go in industries and start raising something, or just go for we have neglected the life that we must live as an individual. Hence, the brokenness continue to overwhelm us and continue to define us. Truth also be told, if I'm to narrow it to boy-girl relationship or the opposite relationship, you will discover that when the relationship ends or break, the whole point remains to say, without due respect, in inverted commas, wamuna ni maimbo, and so on.
And just to come in, just like you said, we impose it on other people.
Yes.
Boy and girl relationship, JJ Mankala Manjum Kambat Bwanje, on every cheater, there's been a heartbreak behind that.
Oh, yeah.
For someone to start cheating, they were once in love,
Yeah.
then they were heartbroken. So
they
manje
don't
nambo
feel
fichila my girl on so chad,
And hurt people hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the like.
It
Now,
goes on
So
like that.
yeah, it has become a circle.
and of course, heartbreak is also contagious. Just in as much as recent have been saying COVID is contagious. I will also tell you that emotional trauma is also contagious. I don't know with you, but if I can remember very well, there are certain, when we were growing up, there are certain people were told, usazenda kwa wanti wako noepa mtima, and so on. That is the inheritance of that. It becomes a contagious thing, and so that is why you discover that you are dating, for example, in a relationship with someone who is so much innocent, but because you are coming from a broken background, you will make sure that they'll also feel it or they catch it, and it becomes toxic all the way. And these are the people that you will discover that as they continue to grow, they feel being treated right, something is not normal. If there's no bad news in a relationship, they feel, I think this guy is cheating. No. The problem comes back to you. There are certain issues that you must deal with. Therefore, it brings me to the last dimension, which is love. Love for oneself, appreciation of oneself, affirmation of oneself. Now, when these three dimensions are not there, life, love, and the truth, then brokenness comes in. Just come to think of it. You have got the truth about yourself. You are living life to your fullest, and you love yourself to the fullest. I think you can be heartbroken, but you can still pick it up without blaming anyone. Can I tell you from the onset, or very quickly, to say I look forward, just like what Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. My dream is I can sit down with someone and they can say, that relationship didn't work, but it's not about him, it's also about me. I also contributed, just as the Bible says in Amos 3 verse 3.
Is it happening nowadays?
It's not. It's not. You see, it's the ego. We are in a modern world, the so-called modern world, where we do not want to look at what we contributed, but we would
We're always
want
looking
to come
for
out clean.
Yes, and it's a
Yeah.
We're always
situation.
the victims.
Exactly, and it's a situation whereby when you break up with the person, you don't even want to talk to them.
Yeah,
It's go
They-
your
they
way or go
become
mine. They become, it's
enemies.
more or less like they become enemies.
and the like. But you see, this is where I'm saying this tendency is not becoming contagious, and it's going because no one is ready to look at the responsibility. You see, one time I had a time to myself to reflect on how the change of scenario or narrative. If Adam had accepted to say, yeah, I went out, I wish I was just around, but Adam shifted the blame to Eve, and Eve shifted the blame to the serpent, and the serpent had no one to do that. Now, just anyway, let me make the viewers a little bit uncomfortable. Just come to think of it, if Adam had said, sorry, master, I had gone away. And Eve had to say, sorry, yes, this guy blackmailed me. I think the narrative would have been different. I hope I'm not theologically wrong. It's just my personal reflection.
Exactly.
But you see, I think this is what God wants from us. And I think that's also what society naturally demands from us.
Accepting
to
our
take
faults
responsibility,
for what
to
we
say,
do.
yeah, okay, the guy, yes, was cheating, but I think maybe someone never gave him enough time, or maybe I never took time to understand him, something like that. Then I think society would have been better.
Kind of.
Okay, and I feel that is common with we ladies. We normally shift the blame on the guys. You find that even you as a lady, there were certain things that you did that were not correct, that led him to go to a certain person. But we don't say any so Alice and Paul, what does heartbreak do to a person?
What does heartbreak do to a person? Number one is steal away your identity.
Yes.
It takes away your identity. I'll also bring you back to what Thomas More, my good man.
You can actually tell that he's an author. And he
He's
reads,
always quoting from books.
and he reads a lot of books.
You see, Thomas More in his book, Care of the Soul, he said something to say, from the beginning, God designed us to be happy. We must not forget that. So imagine all the time you are putting on this gloomy or eclipse kind of a situation all the time. This guy, you have even kept him, for example, in the phone and so on, and it takes away. So little by little, it will begin to steal away your identity. You will become, instead of becoming to look more like love and happiness, you start looking more like sadness and so on. Then you discover that you are a calm person, you are a good person, cheerful person, but you discover that one or the other, that brokenness will begin to steal your goodness and just begin to bring, you know, when you get angry, you are just all over, you scatter things and people begin to stay away from you. That's number one. It takes away your identity. You start becoming who you are not. I have interacted with people, I've sat with people, after a heartbreak, they have never been the same. They start drinking, they start being loud, they
become depressed.
You see, there's an incident that happened when I was still schooling in my second year. A good friend of mine, one of the people that really introduced me to fellowship on campus, he just called me one time to say, bro, I have divorced with God. And I'm texting you not for any advice. I'm just telling you that me and
I
God,
don't want anything to do
we have
with God.
divorced. Yeah. So I still picked, though he told me that he doesn't want advice, I still picked to say, but what happened? This is one of my friends, with all due respect, I'm sharing this with permission. He lost the entire family in a road accident. And this is a man of praise who does everything for the Lord and everything. Right now, when you are to go on his Facebook page, he has just been shouting God, you know God too, you know God too, and I just had to unfriend him and so on. Until today, my friend openly confessed there is no God, there's nothing. Now you can imagine, this is a person who first of all possessed a godly character that were inspiring. I'm one of them. But because of the brokenness that he failed to acknowledge, not to accept, it took away that identity. Now he has taken a foreign identity that people are failing to interact with him. The second thing that heartbreak does is that you become negative. You will not only become negative to the person who imposed the pain on you, but you also become negative on your career, on your passion, on your purpose. You will become negative on life itself. And this is the common trend of suicide, where someone can say, there's nothing I'm living for, and so on. There's also a friend of mine where I don't know the wrangle they had with the girlfriend. Just went on Facebook Live. Wow, psychological modernism is really consuming us. He just went live and just continue mentioning the girl, I'm doing this and so on, and that's how he disappeared. By God's grace, he took doom, but he survived. Wow, and that's the good part. There's also a trending video, I don't know if you've heard of it, Poniso. Vanilla Kateza. I know the viewers can relate to that. Those are the
it's trending on TikTok.
People bit by bit you will become negative about life and about the heartbreak about itself. Number 3, you will lose the zest or the zeal for life. Life will start making sense. People tell you that could be very sense. What is so exciting about life? So in short, it begins to kill your purpose. You stop living, but you start existing. There's a common phrase which they say, died at 40 but buried at 60. You will discover, even some of the viewers can relate with this, that they died a long time ago. They gave up on life a long time ago. The only thing they're living for is just eating and expecting the day to end and tomorrow just like that. But
waiting for the day God will get them.
So that's the thing that it does. And maybe some of you, the viewers, you can begin to relate to this, to say, you lose nothing. For example, you start a certain course, you want to start biomedics, suddenly the interest goes, you want to do law. You want to do law. From law, you want to do political science. From political science, now you want to become a teacher like us. You are not even sure of what you want. The zest and the positivity of life begins to change. The other thing now that I want to mention is a little bit controversial, but this is something that usually happens to us. The sexual orientation sometimes begin to change. Now, simply because, for example, if you're a lady, you have had, let's say, 5 breakups, and you think enough is enough. You little by little you begin to behave like a man, or you want to say, now you want to begin to behave like a savage, and now that's where now homosexuality or gayism or lesbianism begins to say, okay, what if I start loving my fellow lady? Now, what if I start loving my fellow man? With all due respect, but I will still mention this to say, behind, if you're just to look properly or you do a research behind issues to do with homosexuality, behind that there's a broken story. There is nothing that you can say, no, it's their choice. It's their choice, they chose, but they chose it from the broken point of view, because maybe from where they're coming from and where they are. So certain orientation, sometimes you can even develop hate about yourself. Maybe, why have I been a man? Why have I been a woman that I must be exposed to such torture or pain? So this is also one of the things that it takes away. Maybe lastly, if I can pose the last thing, diet orientation. Brokenness, this is also something that it does. Maybe I might add another one, but diet, people who are broken, they've got 2 orientation. Some, they tend to eat a lot, and because they now find gratification in food. This is something that psychologists have proven. They'll eat everything and anything. You try, don't even try to make a mistake to take someone.
It's like they are finding comfort in
food, in anything. You find the whole day they're eating. On the other side of the coin, these are people, one or the other, you discover that they'll not be eating much. They'll just eat a lamb and their food, yasila. Maybe the
Yeah,
city
I read
thing.
somewhere saying when you're heartbroken, you can gain weight.
Yes,
Lose
yes.
weight.
So it depends with the personality that you are into. So that is why we must discern a little bit. So sometimes I'm like, hey, Alice, sometimes you must need to stop. Yeah, you might be running away for something and you just only look
Exactly.
forward
Yeah, like you find
to
comfort
food.
in
Yeah.
food.
And but on the other side, again, when you talk of sleeping habit, some people, they tend to lose sleep. The longest they can sleep maybe is 2 hours. Auka the whole night apinda mkirao. But sometimes they, heartbreak poses inner stress. This is one of the definition of heartbreak.
Yeah.
It causes the emotional stress and even the psychological stress, because you'll be replaying, okay, Sunday like this, my man used to love Man City. Would have been watching Man City,
watching again
and
together.
would have bought a new jersey season and the like. So you become psychologically stressed and emotionally stressed. So you can be sleeping a lot. Just here to there, you are tired.
You tend to hate almost everything that they loved.
Exactly. So you must also check how is your fatigue levels. Is it normal? Is it? Some people get tired even just sitting. Narema, what are you tired of? There's something you must check. Yeah. So those are some of the few things that
that heartbreak causes to the person.
It causes. Sometimes, if I'm to add another thing, it makes you loud. It makes you loud. Now, what do I mean when I say loud? Yes, you become careless. With certain things, we used to know you to be collected, well organized, but you become messed up. And you have just neglected yourself completely because you have got nothing to do with yourself. Sometimes people, they get to be on the introvert part. They'll become more quiet, they'll withdraw. So all those things are part of the things that we must really, one or the other,
I think even
get to discern.
Bitterness comes in. You become
Exactly.
so bitter with almost everything that is just around you. You become so...
It's irritating.
Yes.
Anything is irritating, annoying. For example, just, a kid. You have a kid at home and afuna kuseke sankoni, but you just rush up from there. You are making noise. The BCD TV DJ innocent bwezankoni volume, and the volume is just moderate, and you are just irritated. You are bitter with anything.
Yeah, like talking from experience, Paul, I can actually second what you're saying. I became a bitter person. I thought like life doesn't just make sense, and in just hearing the word "I love you" didn't just make sense to me. It was like just a bell ringing in my ears.
You actually didn't have interest.
Yes, like even pushing away people that genuinely love you because of that heartbreak
that you went
and
through.
being too dependent on people actually causes heartbreak. You're just so dependent, like, okay, this person will never let me down. Okay, this person will actually help me in one way or the other, and you're just so comfortable when they disappear, when they don't help you. You
can die.
you can die.
You see, you have reminded me something of, especially when I'm advocating for something to do with relationship. So one of the things I really advocate before you go into a relationship, or if you are into any, advocate for something known as individuality.
Okay.
Individuality meaning the state of singleness. You see, it's a modern world now, but a confused world. You see, singleness is not a status, and this is something that I must correct. It's not a status.
It's not a status.
Singleness is a state. It's a state of being. It's a state of discovering yourself. It's a state of being content with yourself. It's a state of being comfortable with yourself. It's a state of being offline and not looking forward for any likes or any comments. It is a state that you can go ghost on your birthday without anyone wishing you happy birthday, and you still feel comfortable with
yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
It is a state where you can get yourself an iPhone and just bless yourself and say congratulations to yourself. That individuality has been neglected. The problem that this generation is in, we have paused ourself, the self, onto another person. But look, this is hard work. This is hard work. In a relationship, we don't go there to get. We go there to contribute. So now imagine, I must contribute love, but again, I must also give love. That's where the stress in relationship comes in. But you see, when Alice say, I love you, it simply means I'm not even talking in the erotic sense. Let's go back to how God looked at everything. When God said, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son. Now let's mark the word that. That simply means he loved us, but he had to show it. And I love one of the encyclicals by John Paul II, Love and Responsibility, that's the title. What John Paul advocated is to say love has to go with responsibility. Meaning if I say, Alice, I love you, which means I must be responsible of what's your passion? Do you love journalism? Would you love to go to school? Would you love to, and so on. Can also unsettle the viewers by telling them that love in a relationship is number 3. It's not the first. So that's one thing that we usually
I know that love is not the first thing.
No, he doesn't love me. And so no,
this is why we've seen relationships that don't have love have worked, especially marriages that didn't start with love.
Exactly. That's not the foundation. Yes, love sustains a relationship, but that's not the foundation. There should be individuality. They should know that there's life apart from you, Alice. Okay,
it's getting hot in here.
I should get to right. Now, look, for example, I am an author. Okay, now imagine I marry someone who is not an author, and this is where a lot of you see this modern world has even killed purpose in people. There are certain people that used to do well when they were single, but after they married, that's how we buried them. It's almost like marriage has become a tombstone these days, where we even bury you. No. Marriage has to actually provoke you to become. Now, for that to come to that point, I'm an author. Just as to give an example, there are times I love my space. There are times I just love to be in my own world, thinking and writing, where I don't want any debt. I don't want anything, and this is something that my partner has to respect. Okay, this time he's working on a book. He needs all the time he deserves. And also, let's say, for example, my partner, she does hair plating. So I must know, okay, over the weekend, she'll be going to the salon and everything. I must respect that. She must also grow in that individuality. And I must also grow in that individuality. Now, imagine I am full being an author, she's full being the hairdresser. Imagine the spark that will be there. Then that's where love comes in. Then to say,
love that.
Love me and so on. Not this issue of where tifuna sogoza chikondi, then we forget who we are. And that is why a lot of us, we are lost in these issues known as love. Because if your bed doesn't call you over the weekend, you didn't hang out.
It becomes a very huge issue.
An issue. Look, there should be individuality. In inverted commas, my viewers put it very well. Individuality. Give me space. I should also give you space. You see, when in a relationship I'm comfortable, you're also comfortable. We are going to love each other. There are times when I go online, it doesn't mean I'm going online for you, Alice. No, I am going for other things. Okay, but check around, sit couples down.
Online. You're not
online, but you're not talking
to me. Are we supposed to talk 24/7?
So
you're supposed to say hi.
There should be life apart from that. So when you master the individuality, you master the state of singleness. Yes, you will thrive in any
we've actually talked about what heartbreak is and what it does to a person. The question is, how does one actually heal from it? Quick recovery of heartbreak.
So from the onset, I want to make it clear that healing is possible. Yeah, don't even shun away, don't even run away. But I'll also be quick to mention to you that it's a painful journey altogether. And it's a mixed kind of feeling. That's why a lot of people run away from it. And that is why I love the book by Dr. Scott Peck, rather, The Road Less Traveled. A lot of us, we don't like to travel the hard way. We want to travel the easy way, and that's why a lot of us have been hiding in alcohol, in loud music, in variety shows, concert. We are failing to look at ourselves. But healing is possible, and it's a lifetime process. You might break up with someone you have been dating for 5 years. It might also take you 5 years. This is something that I've included in I Wish to Blame, to say if loving someone took you a process, then healing itself has also to take you a process. So you have to trust the process. Now, how then does one come to the point of healing? So number one, healing will not be complete. You can only cope with it. Why am I saying so? A scar will remain to remind you that one time
I was in this situation.
I was wounded and I was traumatized. The first thing you must acknowledge. You must acknowledge. Do you acknowledge that you're heartbroken? Do you feel it that, okay, okay, mtima suli bwino. That acknowledgement is actually the beginning of healing. I don't know the psychology that is there, but and just for clarity's sake, today I'm from changing my lenses.
Okay.
The day yesterday when I acknowledged to say I think these fakes are expiring, one or the other my eyes stopped paining. Why? I have acknowledged they have expired. And when I was reaching the eye clinic, when they were just doing some tests and everything, the process was easy. Why was it easy? I've already acknowledged that I'm wearing something that is expired. So do you acknowledge that you're heartbroken? Number one, acknowledging. Then number two is accepting. Do you accept? This is where the problem is, denial. We are in denial. If a lot of people, I'm saying, okay, Nizona, we saw you guys, you were dating, for example, but your relationship failed. Are you ready to say, Tenzo dating ana, Nizona, it failed. This is what happened. My man did this, and even me, I answered him back. So I contributed to this. So are we able to reach at that level? But you see, where the problem is, we're in denial. To reach a point to say, Nenzo mustira vonse, bati.
We went through cases.
And they're like, you're still in denial, sister. Though you can just fight. But that guy wasn't dating himself. And I'm not even siding with the men. I'm just trying to be objective. The whole process is, do you accept? Do you accept that, yes, I once upon a time loved, and I once upon a time got broken. There are two paradigms. There are two paradigms of brokenness. Number one, you can blame. Number one, you can take responsibility. But if you are to ask my advice, I'll tell you, go the way of accepting responsibility.
It's the society that stops people from accepting.
Oh yeah, they will tell you
they
some
contribute. When
It has always been the society.
Yes, exactly.
But you see, if you want to heal, can we go above society? Because we can only change the normal narrative if we can go above society. But if we are going to narrow ourselves to what society thinks, it's not always that society is right, and it's not always that the majority are right.
Okay. Well, Paul, I wish we can actually go on and on, but time looks like it's jealous of us continuing. Just your last words about this topic that we had, and just tell us a little bit more about your two books.
All right, so my concluding statement is simple. We can heal from brokenness only when we decide to do so. Healing is not a feeling, it is a decision. So not after watching this show then you say, I feel like healing. No, decide
it's a process
to heal. Now, looking at these two books, one of them, I Wish to Blame. I Wish to Blame talks about healing parental and childhood trauma. I have shared part of my story. Some of the issues that affected me when I was a child and when I was, I'm still an adult though, when I'm still here. But now, for you to look at who I am today and where I'm coming from, that is where it is. How do you handle parental trauma and childhood trauma, the bullying, intimidation, and so on? These are the issues you find there. It is divided in 3 parts. The first part, it will lead you to the trauma. The second part, it will tell you how do you know that you're traumatized. The third part, it will lead you how then do you heal from parent and childhood trauma. The other one, it is never enough. It talks about healing from the pain of losing a loved one in death. Are you struggling with someone who died, you have not yet accepted? This is the book. That's why the title says it is never enough. Even if someone is to die at 100 years, we'll still say so soon. Why? We are not ready to detach. But this book will tell you how do you live with that loss. I'll encourage you. It's never enough. It is 80 kwacha. I wish to blame. It is 100 kwacha only. I'll be glad to hear from you so that together we can heal, so that we can become better.
So well, can
and
the
not
viewers
bitter.
get the books?
So the viewers can, we are yet to stock them in Bookworld and Catholic Bookshop, but at the moment you can just contact me on 0976 49 36 60. Then we'll be able to do delivery, and we do delivery countrywide with my team.
Okay, Paul, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on Ladies Cafe.
I'm always grateful for the invitation.
Yes. Your last words, Jenna?
My last words, buddy, heartbreaker. I think the viewers and the listeners out there, if you want to heal first, I believe you should also learn to forgive. Once you forgive them, whoever broke your heart, you heal first. But the problem is we like holding on to grudges, which is a very bad situation. We'll never be happy if we don't forgive other people.
True.
That's all.
Okay. Well, you heard it all from Jenna and Paul. I've got nothing much to say, but all I can say is that it is possible for you to heal from heartbreak. Don't just keep grudges. Don't keep anything, bitterness, pain. Let it go. You can heal. You can get over it. Well, we've come to the end of the show. I believe you've learned 1 or 2 things about this beautiful topic that we had, heartbreak. For now, it's
Journey with the girls.